So, I wanted to make a video about action and try to show a simple way to have action in our lives. Because, of course, we're dealing with our own minds, which are very complicated and house tons of information. Because of that, our mind is like an internet to some extent. We have our own local internet with our brain, that is the local hard drive, and the conscious mind itself, you could compare it to the search box on Google or Ask Jeeves or what's the other one? DuckDuckGo, a search engine. Your mind is a repository of information, but only a small amount of it can be accessed at a time, exactly like the internet. So, and your mind, it finds information by association, same way as the internet does. So if you're thinking about a topic, you're thinking about it to start off with in a superficial manner for efficiency's sake. So, and it's usually related or sparked by something within your local physical environment. So if you're inside of your room and you see an object, you see a book, right? Well, the book represents, it is a physical, tangible thing with a very finite amount of information in it, a very finite amount of superficial information, each bit of which can be associated and expanded into a whole bunch of information. So if you're in your room, you think about a book, that book itself spawns a bunch of associated possibilities in your own mind. So you look at the book, maybe you read the title. Each word in the title is another associative element. It's an associative element. And it's up to you if you want to continue the search. I'm gonna hold on for 1 second. I don't want to appear too crazy talking to myself to the people running around here. So that's how we work. That's how we navigate the day. That's how our mind works. It's associative. And the whole point of me bringing this up is because it's something that I have to deal with on a daily basis, and sometimes I struggle with, and sometimes I use elements of the mind to engage in lazy behavior or slothful behavior, or I use elements of the mind as techniques to avoid doing things which I wish to be doing, right? And I have a feeling that this is the general way that most of us conduct our day. Is we wake up, our superficial aspect of our mind, which is the conscious element, it's like a surface of an ocean. Some things are bobbing up on the top, right? We look at all those things bobbing at the top. We remember what we wanted to do for the day. And then usually we'll sort of prioritize the things that we want to do. And once we've found the most important thing, we'll find a way to procrastinate getting into the first item. And this usually involves a little bit of mental salivating over the possibilities of that particular item, and then remembering the things which we kind of do as an addict, whether it's surfing Facebook or it's usually involved with getting on the socials. Now, I'm not speaking for everybody. And if you're going to a job, it's a different situation. But if you have the day off, if you have a free day, that's how it usually goes in the morning. You end up getting sidetracked and you go off on tangents and you do things to avoid the thing which you consciously want to work on or do or engage in. Even work on is sort of incorrect terminology because these words are all laden with emotions. Whenever we say the word work, like, our mind remembers all the things that have happened during work and it associates emotions with that. So it'll give you the good emotion from getting paid, and then it'll give the bad emotions from when things happen or when you woke up and you know the work is particularly bad that day or annoying or whatever. So our mind has like a composite emotional picture of whatever term you're looking at. And that will color your movement into the particular activity that you're considering. So, again, the purpose of the video, this is kind of interesting, doing this with earbuds and the headband, because I can't really audibly hear myself speaking that well. So it's almost like just engaging in thought behavior, which I know is being audibleized, but I can't hear it very well. So that may affect the effect of the video, possibly. I don't know. So what I'm trying to do today is give a method, a reduced method, reduction of complexity method of engaging with activity. This is my aim for this particular video. This highway is pretty busy right now. Okay. So, for me, it's been important to simplify the mental triggers that get me into an activity. Like, for instance, going for a run. If you take away the cost benefit analysis, energetically speaking, as impetus to do the thing or not, that helps a lot. And you can do this by, again, simplifying. You know, if you're trying to be into a sort of routine, simplify it. You know, running itself as an activity, I generally know it's good for you. It's good for clearing the mind. Activity and exercise is good for the body. So overall, it's just a thumbs up for that activity. So if I've decided to do it 3, 4, 5 times a week, then if I'm getting up and I have the day off, it's literally just a matter of finding the trigger, which is looking at the running shoes or just remembering that I was going to do it, and bypassing any and all speculation on whether or not now is the correct time to run, and getting into the analytical part of it. It's helpful to just completely bypass that, and when the trigger comes up, so long as there's not anything like an emergency happening that's stopping you from doing it, you just, once you have the trigger word, you just go do it. That was part 1 of this elaborate presentation. Is Nike, right? Nike has that Nike has that idea refined into the 3 words, just do it. And it's correct, it's right. And they're making shit tons of money off of using that. And it's not rocket science, and rocket science is also a bad term to use for the idea of something so complex that we can barely comprehend it, because we're well past rocket science. Nowadays, we're into mental science, right? And mental science has lots of practitioners and lots of engineers working on it. Not all of them are in the best interest of average Joe human. Anyway, so yeah, simplify your approach to doing things, and so long as something else isn't coming up that's like an emergency or stopping you directly from doing the thing, just get into it. Once you get into it, your body knows, your body mind knows how to do it. You can go on autopilot almost. You know how to go find your shoes, you know how to go find your socks, you know how to put them on, you know how to tie your shoelaces, you know how to walk out the door, you know how to kiss your wife or girlfriend goodbye. All these things you already know how to do. So simplify your approach to activities. Because it takes energy, it takes mental energy to sit and engage in the analytics of any action. So you're conserving energy by doing this. And again, you can fall back on the idea of polarized thinking to justify the behavior if you're having trouble justifying it in the first place, and just go to the worst possible, best possible scenario. Just ask a simple question, general question like, is it good to do things at all during the day? And if you say yes, then it would make sense to try to do them in an efficient way and try to engage in a way that has you actually do them rather than just mentally masturbating over it. So it's pretty simple to see the overlay of the idea and how it could be beneficial. But the second part was, this is probably to me the more important aspect of what I'm saying here, and that is that what we are all guilty of is this idea of activity. We're all guilty of unfinished projects. I would say that's the single largest obstacle in the way of having us do things during the day that we care about. And I put it like that because how we frame the activity also has a fair amount of sway in whether or not you want to do it at all. So unfinished projects means, simplify it again. If you have a thought that says, I'm about to do something, I want to do something, I'm going to do something, I'm doing the thing. If you have that thought and you start it, say, I have this thing, I'm going to go on Facebook and look at what people are talking about today. Okay, that's one thing that you started. You're in there, you're in the Facebook, you're in the internet now. And you see somebody's post and you go and click in it, you expand it, you read it a little bit, and maybe you want to respond, maybe not. But it's important to sort of close off activities. Like, what I'm trying to say is, don't get into the Facebook, open up a page, make a comment on something that was meaningful to you. Maybe somebody's talking about, they don't talk about too many important things on Facebook, but maybe somebody's talking about our recorded past and the veracity or the accuracy or truthfulness of that presented past in terms of what we feel it actually was. So that's important to you, right? So you get in there, you leave a comment, all of our recorded history is bullshit, and it's just the history is written by the victors, and obviously the victor is not me, so therefore that's nonsense, and yada, yada, yada. Okay. You close out the comment, press enter. You have now recorded your opinion. You have opined on the face of history via Facebook, which will probably get deleted or fact-checked and removed, or maybe. And eventually you're off Facebook, right? You're back in your body, because when you're on Facebook, you're in your mind, and the focus is less on the body. So what I'm saying is, if you close that out and you carry forward the thought about is history real or not, or how much of it is real, you carry on the thought, which carries on emotion, which takes energy. And you don't have a sort of procedural basis for closing it out. What's going to happen is, just like on your computer, you're going to have background tasks running in your own mind. So you may not even consciously be thinking of it 10 minutes later, right? But it's still running as a background task in your subconscious, and it's taking energy. So, and that was kind of a bit of a silly example, but it's important to grasp what I'm saying here, because this is what we do with all of the things. So it brings up the idea of finishing activities, right? Obviously, activities don't all get finished in 2 seconds or 2 minutes or 5 minutes or a day or an entire lifetime sometimes. But it's important to, if you're on Facebook and you're commenting on something, and then you finish out the comment, it's as simple as this. You just make you make a mental, like a snip on it. You say, go over the things that you saw, go over your responses, go over the emotions you felt. You can do all this in like 5 seconds, and then just mentally like seal it off, or cut that thread so it doesn't become a background task when you're done with it. Or if it's so important to you that you want to keep it around, then consciously, or even write a note, like, I want to keep diving into this. I want to find the associative properties, elements, and bits of information that will help me further understand whatever it is that I'm looking at. So don't leave it open-ended unless you're consciously doing so. And then that's something via just the mind. That's what internet is, mind. So more important than that, I would say, unless you're all about meta and incepting another layer deep. We're already incepted anyway, but if you value sort of things like this, like walking around in the outdoors, having some space from humans, getting some exercise, whatever, anything physical, it's also important to apply a similar methodology to things that you are physically engaging in. So if you're painting a picture, if you're creating something out of wood, any number of physical things you could do, when you start, like, use the first method to engage or not, it's really super simple, but our minds are complicated, so they throw up. It's more the devious of the mind that gets in the way, rather than that the activity is difficult or that we're incapable of doing it. It's that our mind is meticulously devious in getting us to mostly engage in addictive behavior rather than what we would know as productive. So if you have a physical activity you'd like to engage in, and use the first method, is there an emergency happening that's stopping me from engaging, from diving into the beginning stages of this thing? Do I have to go to work? No. Is there an emergency happening? No. Do I have access to physical materials? Yes. Okay. All those things, simple things. Just go over them really quickly. And if they're all yeses, which they very likely will be, then you just go in. You just do it. Okay? You just start it. And use the same methodology also for sealing that thing. You can seal that thing also without erasing it. So you can it's almost like saving something on online. If I'm going and working on a chess problem and I want to be done with that problem, but I would like to have it for access later to work on again or to add to. Like on the servers I use, saves automatically, but under ordinary circumstances, you would usually have to press save. You'd wrap up final editing, whatever, press save, and it goes into the warehouse of information, and it's there if you want to pull it up later. So if you're engaging in like I've been going to build this cat house thing for the cats for a really long time, and I'm super good at procrastinating, so haven't started it yet, but it would be the same methodology. If there's nothing else stopping me, just start it, get into it, engage in it, and when I'm done, when I'm fatigued or something, or I don't feel like working on it anymore, then you wrap it up, clean up the area, whatever, put it all into it, organize it, and mentally seal it. Like mentally say, until I'm actually ready to physically work on this thing again, I'm not going to sit here and engage with the possibility matrix spectrum, mental possibility matrix spectrum of my mind regarding this particular activity. And then therefore you increase your capacity, your energetic capacity to do other things. It makes you more efficient. So wrap it up, tie it up. And also, if it's a piece of art, like if you're drawing a picture, a lot of it has to do with our judgment of how good we're doing or not. And since we grew up with this what's it called? Quantitative evaluation of everything, then we'll try to apply some quantitative judgment on how we're doing. And if we're perfectionists, then we keep going and going, and we'll just tweak something or we'll tweak another thing, and we don't know if that's going to do anything to our own sort of peculiar taste. So we'll just keep going and pushing and hope that, one moment we'll be okay with how it turns out. I'm saying don't do that. Try to not do that. Consciously let it be however it is it's turning out. And at a certain point, if you feel you're getting frustrated with it, give it a break, mentally seal it off till you're ready to try again. And don't judge yourself so harshly. If you have problems doing things in general, then put more of the focus on just doing the thing and not judging the quality of the thing until you actually build that habit reflex muscle that allows you to do the thing without applying so much effort to get it going in the first place. Once you do it enough, then it will become more of a habit, and you can put more effort into the qualitative analysis of how you're performing according to your own standards. Because we mostly suffer from information overload. That's almost the entire problem here. It's not that resources aren't available. It's not that money isn't available. It's not that family isn't supportive enough or whatever things we say to why stuff doesn't work out ever. It's just there's so much shit. There's so much information. And if you let your entire life system go on autopilot, it will look, you know how it's going to look? It's going to look exactly like your life looks right now if you don't consciously apply certain reductive measures to help smooth the process out. Because if you don't actively do this on a daily basis, your whole self will go on autopilot. I know that for a fact. It's what I do when I don't do that. And I can't say I'm always consciously determining my movements, because I'm not, because that requires work and effort, and I like the meditative state, which means you're applying none of those things. Body's going by itself, be as lazy as possible, but still produce good work, which I also do, but I personally have standards which I'm living to, which I'm bringing in, and I'm trying things here, trying things there. But overall, you can boil it down to things need to be done every day. There's no doubt about that. And it's good to apply metrics to those things. And that's the metric I got for you today. So let me know what you think about it. Let me know what you think about how your own life is going. Does it seem overwhelming? Does it seem like information overload? Or does it seem like you have it pretty well under control and you pretty much understand what's going on for the most part? Let me know how you feel. Take care. Peace.